With me is Mariya Didi, a very good friend of India and former Defence Minister of Maldives in the previous government, a former parliamentarian. Ma'am, welcome to WION. It's always great to have a conversation with you. My first question to you is your reaction to the developments we have seen, how there were remarks made by sitting ministers of the current government in Maldives, and now, of course, they have been suspended. So what's your reaction?
It's very irresponsible, totally unprovoked, uncalled for, something that you should not, as ministers, do with the closest neighbor, from with whom we have had time immemorial, relationships that are so close. India has always come to our rescue whenever we needed them. Let it be it in November 3rd when we had the terrorists come and attack us, then the water crisis, and most recently, just the other day when we had the COVID pandemic, you went out of your way to give us vaccines, even before you inoculated your whole population. That is how close we have been. And Indian tourists came to the Maldives and we were able to recover, our economy as well with much help from y'all. And I can remember even in the defense exhibition and conference we had, your defense minister, your Raksha Mantri, he said, stronger MNDF means a stronger India, and a stronger India means stronger Maldives. So the bonds that we keep are very, very important. I mean, you eat curry, we eat curry. We play Hindi songs, you all play Hindi songs. Before we had cable and all that, we were infringing copyright as well, but you shut your eyes and you just let it be because we were so small and you thought, that even entertainment-wise it was good. So Maldives have had this love for Hindi movies, love for curry. And recently what I find is even Pani Puri is a favorite of Maldivians. I have seen them eat it, chaat. And it's sad that ministers don't realize, that they are no longer social media activists, that they have to be responsible, and whatever they say reflects on the country and there will be consequences.
Ma'am, you have been to India several times as a minister, as well. WION had conversations with you here in Delhi. Now, how do you see India-Maldives relationship? If you can give or shed light on that, how strong this relationship has been?
Like Canada and USA, they are also neighbors. They share a very close relationship. But Maldives' relationship with India goes back so much more, even before the USA and Canada also came into existence because they are part of the New World. We have had this strong relationship. There has been trade going on between the two countries. Culture-wise, we are the same. We are all brown people, as we say nowadays, and I don't see even looks-wise, there's no difference between Indians and Maldivians. The language is similar, the food is similar, our way of thinking is similar, and for me, what I think is even God made us such that India and Maldives are even geographically situated so close to each other. When we are unwell, we go to India for treatment. If we want to have a holiday, recently there were school holidays. I think most of my friends have gone to India, and I studied in India when I was younger. Many Maldivians have studied in India. So the friendship, the closeness that we have had, I don't know why. Maldivians have always been hospitable to foreigners and Maldivians. Our tourism industry is totally based on the hospitality that we offer to the guests that we come. you would notice that there are many resorts in other places like the Caribbean and all that also, but the hospitality, the friendliness, the Maldivian resort worker offers, the butlers, whoever is there, offers to your people, it is totally unique because that is there in us, that we honor our friends and those who visit us. And we are grateful people. Whenever we need something, India has come to our rescue. And for that, ordinary Maldivians are very grateful. It is sad to see, something like this happening. And for us to have to talk about this is also a very sad situation.
Ma'am, you were the defense minister, and we have seen increased defense engagement as well. If you can talk about the capacity building which have taken place when it comes to the defense aspect and the role the Indian assets have done in terms of evacuation, because you have seen all of it.
Yes, whenever anyone is ill, Indian helicopters go and lift them to Male where they can be attended to. The Indian Donia has helped us a lot, search and rescue, everything. And recently, there was a boy in Naddu who got lost, and I don't know, for whatever reason, we didn't see the Donia, which is equipped with special equipment for search and rescue. It wasn't used. A small Cessna went up, and we haven't found the boy still. So it's really sad that the ordinary Maldivian, that family, I wonder, they would be, I'm sure, thinking, that if they had the specialist equipment, deployed at the pace that we did during our time, most probably, we would have found the boy. But because of whatever, they have said during the campaign and things, they shouldn't really risk life of ordinary Maldivians just because they have said something. They come to take care of us. And as a government, they should be responsible, and they should use whatever they can to save the lives of ordinary Maldivians. As for capacity building, we did a lot. We got Huravi, a new Huravi. There was a replacement, for Huravi, the Indian ship. There was Kamyab, a new ship that we got, So assets-wise also, the Donia came in. We are building the repair facility in UTF. And when the present administration was saying they were, when they came to government, they were talking about thousands of troops on the ground here, Indian troops. And they have found that there are only 89 people, and every one of them engaged in a humanitarian role. So whatever we have said in the past, we have not been, there's no secrets going on between two countries. We were, y'all were helping us to build our capacity so that, if the situation arises, we could look after ourselves, at least till we get help from other friendly neighbors.
Ma'am, you started by saying that there was a boy who went missing and the Maldivian authorities did not allow usage of the Indian assets. So
I don't know whether they allowed or not. We didn't see it being used. That's all I say.
Okay, so the Indian assets weren't used, and there was a boy who got who is still missing because of. Ma'am, the current government has basically come on a plank which is strongly anti-India. We saw the anti-India movement as well. And one of their basic plank has been the removal of the Indian troops while acknowledging the role of the Indian assets as well. How do you see this entire comments being made and essentially the relationship not moving because of what the current government has been saying? There's a committee also which has been formed as well. So how do you make of it, the so-called removal of Indian troops demand by the current government?
The thing is, you saw how many Maldivian lives were saved during the time. When they were being used totally for in a humanitarian capacity. Whenever the Indian helicopters were they were being replaced or spares were coming and all that. We have always, been asking them, when are they coming and all that. And especially the ordinary Maldivian here in the island, they always, they felt very secure that if supposing there was the need, they could be airlifted to Maldives. We have, in the past, when helicopters were engaged in Maldives, and those diving accidents and all these things, they can only be lifted in a helicopter. It can't go above a certain height. So helicopters have been used. But in the past, when private parties have used helicopters in Maldives, it has been very dangerous. Many times we have had helicopter incidents. But inshallah, with the Indian helicopters, because they use the most modern equipment and their personnel are very trained, very experts. I have seen, them land in places where people have never been before. They land, they do many evacuations, which under normal circumstances, ordinary civilian pilots cannot do. Because as defense minister, they have shown me, I have seen it, and a friend of mine who is in Lamu, who goes to fix their air cons and all that, a Maldivian, he was telling me, the people the other day, they were saying, there's so many tests that are done before the helicopter takes off, and so many tests that are done when it comes off. Comes down. So 20 people to look after this, to make sure Maldivians are safe when they fly the helicopters. That's normal, but people are saying, oh, do you need that much people for a helicopter maintenance? Yes, we do. Whether it's one or two, there's a bare minimum that is needed, for this. And then we are getting it free, but to waste Maldivian taxpayers' money for something that friends are offering free, I mean, I totally don't get it. But if that be the will of the Maldivians, always, the Indian government also has said, they will honor it. It was on the government's request that these have always been provided to us.
Ma'am, moving the trajectory to the broader aspect of the relationship. Now, tourism is something that has been a key pillar of this relationship. Do you see that because of these comments by now ex-ministers of the Maldivian government, there will be a lasting damage to your tourism industry?
I hope not. Last year, the most tourist arrival numbers were from India. We have always seen that if there is an affluent society in the neighbors, they always prefer to come to their neighbors because it's shorter, it's easier to get there. There's so many flights from India to Maldives. But we have to understand that we are also, we are unique in some ways, but nothing is irreplaceable in this world. So we have to really think we have to guard our tourism industry. We have to promote it. We have to present ourselves as people who are welcoming if we want tourists to come here, not show antagonism and make disparaging remarks about their elected leaders and others, and we have to be sensitive to the thoughts and the feelings of others as well. So far, what I have seen is that we have been irresponsible in that sense, and we would, to some extent, suffer the damages. Because I saw on social media once a tourist who had come, she made a remark about Maldives and the way, and she was just an ordinary citizen, but the way Maldivian social media reacted, she had to make her a Twitter account, the X account, private, because it was too much. But what we have to understand is that even others would have the love for it. We have to learn to live in a globalized world. Just because this government has come on a national agenda saying Maldives for Maldivian or whatever, that means Divehin Geraj means doesn't necessarily mean that we can, survive without our tourists coming to Maldives and, us not being nice to them. So it's a sad day for all of us. It's a very sad day for all of us. I'm sure, a lot of my Indian friends have been sending, messages to me also saying that we complement each other, not compete with each other. We respect each other. And I think we have to make a conscious effort, with all our people, Maldivians as well, to tell them that, relationships are mutual. If they want to go and get themselves attended for medical purposes and other purposes in India and want friends to come and help us in emergencies, that they should respect, the others as well, and try to, treat them like how we would want to be treated as well when we go to another country, or as relationships, friends, neighbors, live as friends and neighbors. It is a sad day. It's a sad day for the region as well, because we have had so much defense cooperation. We have had exchange of information. We have been doing so much together. Most Maldivians in the defense sector are trained in India. So in many ways, it's a sad day.
So essentially, politicization, you think, is being done by the current government when it comes to this relationship. As you pointed out, just 89 Indian troops present. So do you see this politicization will come to an end?
The thing is, they kept on saying troops. We were always saying they're here on a humanitarian role. So they are not even troops as such. They are technical people who are here to help the ordinary Maldivian, who cannot afford, a helicopter or things to get basic services like, when they're health and other things. So I hope the government comes to its senses. I hope they start valuing friendships. I hope they start respecting neighbors. I hope President Muiz takes some sort of action against the ministers and hold them accountable so that other ministers also realize, that this is not how ministers should behave. It is sad that one of them, the gentleman there, he was a member of the armed forces, and he had made remarks on social media that was not in line with the armed forces policy on social media, which was why he was dismissed from the armed forces. But because he said something that they want to hear, he was brought in as a minister. The sad thing is, if the same thing happens in the defense forces today, how are they going to maintain discipline there? This is something that always makes me sad. Once you do something, then there was no politicization or anything of why he was dismissed. That is all over Maldives, But then for him to come in as a minister, because he was not made to take responsibility for his actions before, because the present government ignored it. Today, a young person who is qualified is now having to really suffer the consequences.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to WION. It's a pleasure to speak to you and get an overview of how the people and politicians think about this very important relationship. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Siddhant. Lovely to talk to you. And hopefully this will be resolved soon.
For sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.